What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Duel back here with another video. Today we're going to be talking about something that somebody tweeted out that was pretty controversial in the ARPG space. And so we're just going to jump right into it. That person is Rod Ferguson. Rod the Man Ferguson, SVP GM of all things Diablo and Blizzard, formerly known as Gears Viking. Nobody cares, but it's the personal account of Rod Ferguson, not trying to be completely negative here, but we're just going to read the tweet. You've probably seen it a million times, but here we go. Feels like the genre of ARPG is starting to mean a lot of different things, much like Souls-like or Roguelike. I wonder if we could normalize Diablo-like for ARPGs that follow the Diablo formula. So, a couple things. Rod, first of all, this is a very strange thing to tweet out, especially right after the Path of Exile 2 stream. So let's dial it back here. So this tells us a couple things. So we try to dissect this just a little bit, right? Get in the mind of old Roddy Ferguson. One, this tells us that Blizzard is definitely watching. They're definitely watching what the guys over at GGG are cooking up and what they're doing. They watch the stream. They probably, hopefully, took some notes. I talked about this a little bit in my last video, but hopefully they took some notes and are learning from this. But really, and again, not trying to be negative, but Rod Ferguson, he kind of already gives off that weird dad energy, that casual dad energy that Diablo 4 kind of appeals to as it is. And this just really nails that home, this tweet does. Like, he's trying to say, like, oh, a PoE, that's so cool what you're doing. This is really because of us, Diablo. And it's like, yeah, Diablo 2. And even you guys are trying to make D4. You're adding things to D4 like Diablo 2, but the execution is just off. Like, you even said in an interview, Rod, that the reason that Mythics were so rare to start out pre-Season 1 is because you were trying to make it grindy like Diablo 2. Well, guess what? The gear is just not that crazy that people were like, oh man, that's crazy. I can't wait to get that piece of gear. No, they were just mad because they couldn't get the best gear in the game and it just was unattainable. Whereas if you get that gear in PoE or PoE 2, I guess in this case, it's going to completely change your gameplay experience, And then for Season 5, they added the new mobs that were not new. I guess they're new to Diablo 4, but they were in Diablo 2. The mobs at the end of Infernal Horde. So, just more proof that you're just trying to get D4 the way that D2 was without implementing all of the things that really matter to people that play Diablo 2, obviously. And so it's just really, really weird for him to say. And then on top of that, like, the reason that they are called roguelike and souls-likes is because generally when those games come out, they're really, really good. Roguelike games are generally really good. I don't really know how many roguelikes that I played that I was like, oh man, this is just bad. Not bad. And of course, Souls-like is just a reference to Dark Souls. Now, you may have the controversial opinion that Dark Souls 2 might be a bad game, but the rest of the series, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, to name a few, all of those games are literally Souls-likes, and they're amazing games, and they're great, and everybody loves them. That's why they get these coined terms. That's why they're not just called straight up garbage. If they were bad, they wouldn't be called anything. They would be called trash. That's kind of what people call Diablo 4. They say, oh, the meme, D4 bad, right? That's the whole thing. D4 bad, D4 bad. People just spamming D4 bad. In the defense of Blizzard, I will say that Diablo 4 has come a long way. It is good in its current state, but like, if you're somebody that wants to pour thousands of hours into the game, there's really nothing here for you. You get to... What do you get if you want to grind thousands of hours? Currently, at the current state of Season 6 right now, you get to grind the pit. What do you get for clearing higher versions of the pit? Nothing. You get bragging rights, but nobody really cares because you don't get anything cool out of it. There's no cosmetics. And then, of course, to nail it, really, really nail this stuff home, is when a report came out that Blizzard's player base, 80% of them were solo players, and what was their response? Oh yeah, the response was, we're going to create a dungeon, a multiplayer forced dungeon that you have to do. Oh, but there's a catch. See, if you do these dungeons on the highest difficulty, you get these awesome cosmetics. And I will say, they looked really cool. They looked awesome. The problem with that is that, they were random drops. Like, you went in, you did the dungeon, maybe once or twice with your friends. You're not getting that close cosmetics right off the bat. And so that's a problem because, I don't know, maybe if you're someone who really loves that dungeon, me personally, I did not like that dungeon that much. And also, I couldn't get my friends to jump on at the same time all the time to run that dungeon to get the random drops. And it wasn't worth it. And by the time I had completed the season, did the battle pass, completed everything, that the season objectives, everything is done. And so, yeah, so like there's really nothing in the game once you get all your mythic uniques, all of your gear, and let's say you want to tweak your ancestrals, there's nothing that really enhances the gameplay to really pushing you forward to that pinnacle goal of getting level 300 and, you know, doing the rest of the content the game has to offer. And the biggest example of that is just running the pit over and over. Well, why would you do that? Well, because the pit, the higher you go, the only thing that you really get is more experience. That's it. You don't get better drops. You don't get really anything from it. You don't get higher ancestral drop rates. You don't get to... Oh, and they even had a Halloween event just recently where the butcher would spawn and he looked all decked out and cool, and it was like, oh, that's cool. But it only appears in nightmare dungeons and regular dungeons. It doesn't appear in the pit. So if you're in the major endgame, the Halloween event meant nothing to you unless you cared about the 50% Mother's Blessing XP. So, and everybody knows that this game, Diablo 4, is just... They're trying to appeal to the casual audience. So most people are not going to be clearing pit 150, 120, 110, 100, whatever. You know, you get the idea. It doesn't... But, like, by doing that, you are alienating a small chunk, I will say, probably maybe 5-10% of the player base, who really is blasting your game. And you really want them... If the whole point is for you to have people playing throughout the entirety of the season, getting to level 300 and continuing everything there is to do in the game, you need to add more things to the game that keeps people coming back. And right now, there just isn't that. Unless you just want to make another character. But even then, you still have to redo a lot of the season mechanics in most cases, unless they end up changing that. And it's just not fun. People don't want to do the same thing over and over. That's just not fun. If it's not something that's rewarding, that right? Like, a good example of this is when they said, oh, hey, the Altars of Lilith, which are a pain in the ass to do when launch of D4 happened, nobody wants to go and run around the map and click and get these altars all over again for a couple of skill points. Nobody wants to do that. And so there is definitely an out of touch, not narrative, I can't think of the right word. It's like the people that, again, I'm not trying to be negative, I'm just trying to understand, right? It's like the people that are developing the game are as casual as you can get. More proof of this is when they had that stream of the female designers. One of them was like a dungeon designer or something, and, you know, play the game however you want, but it was like very clear that they weren't blasters of the game. So it's like, okay, you have people that are blasting this dungeon that are, one they were playing on console, right? They were playing with Xbox controllers or something. And it's like, oh, well, this doesn't appeal to me at all because I play with mouse and keyboard. And also they keep... I'm coming off on kind of a tangent, I'm sorry here. They keep adding these mechanics to the game where it's like, oh, kill X thing and then drop X item, and then you pick up X item and then you get said power, or you get X, or you do a new dungeon, new key, and then they don't add more dungeon space. Now, that being said, in defense of Blizzard, they did add Season 6. They gave us more character slots. They gave us more stash tabs. I think it was 1 or 2. And then they separated, they gave us the sockable tabs. So things are improving with Diablo 4. The longevity of Diablo 4 is improving, but it's just not at the rate that players are wanting. And a good example of this is the armory that's coming in Season 7. And really, this problem of Diablo that they just keep... They say that major balances to the game and retooling major features of the game is part of a season. Loot Reborn, a good example. Loot Reborn was fun. Tempering was a good change, but it's something that came really late in the game. Something that needed to happen before Diablo 4 was even launched, and that is a huge problem. A lot of these things that they added to the game. The expansion came out, and it was fun. It was good. You know, some people had some issues with the story, but I'm not here to talk about that. But did it add enough? Did it really change the gameplay other than they added a new character? Not really. Not really. And I think that is the core thing of what is missing here is people are coming to Diablo 4. They're wanting to do a season where it significantly changes the gameplay and makes it exciting to come back to, not just doing the repetitive same thing over and over and over. Oh, what's going to be season 8? Oh, it's the season of skeleton. Now you get skeleton powers. Great. But it's just more damage. And so really I don't speak for all Diablo, maybe it's just me, but I'm really looking for something. I don't even care that much about the end game. It's just give me a reason to push higher other than leaderboards, I guess. And we don't even have leaderboards in Diablo 4. Not really an issue for me personally. I don't really care about that. Some people do, obviously. Some people definitely do like that kind of stuff. And that's fine if you like that. For me, I want to get better gear. Oh, I went further in the pit, then you have a chance to get this. And only it drops in this level of the pit. Or only this, well, I guess you can't do Nightmare Dungeon tiers anymore, but pit is, I guess, the strongest way. And so they need things to modify gameplay like that. Like, I don't know, the thing that they did in Helltide where it was a consumable and then it made mobs in Helltide harder. They need to do that. Add that back to the game and then give us more loot that is like something you hunt for that's really, really awesome, and not just bound it to anything cool in the cash shop. $30 for a 6-out armor. What they should do is put this stuff in the shop and then say, hey, actually, not only can you buy it, you can go out into the world and get these items. And of course, people will spend less money in your cash shop, but more people will play your game, which isn't that your entire point? It's like a weird catch-22, right? Because it's like they want more people to play the game so that more people get eyes on the shop so they buy stuff. But if they're not playing the game, they're not going to be in the shop. And if they're getting cosmetics that are in the shop for free, then they're not going to buy in the shop. So you see what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here. But really, I just wanted to talk about that tweet. Like, how out of touch do you got to be to say something like that? To say, oh, you know, come off as almost petty and jealous, like, oh man, it looks so good, and oh man, the stream broke. Well, our stream hasn't broke. That's never happened. I would say the hype of Diablo 4 definitely peaked. It's definitely fizzled out. But PoE 2 is definitely something else, and instead of Rod just being, you know, a child about it, they should be taking notes and giving a bow to GGG and saying, hats off to you. This is what we're trying to do with D4, and we just haven't figured it out. But you guys have, and clearly you guys are doing something right. And in all reality, Rod should be reaching out to Jonathan or Chris over at GGG, and they should be collaborating or sharing ideas. So maybe in the future, they could do like this is obviously wishful thinking, and the logistics of this I can't even fathom, but you know, they could do like a partnership. Maybe make Diablo 5, and it's like the best ARPG they've ever made that's going to blow PoE, D4 out of the water. Something like that, a joint collaboration. Obviously, there's legal things and things like that I can't get into because, frankly, I just don't understand them, right? But you know what I'm saying? Like, collaborative instead of this, oh, man, we're jealous because we can't make something that good. But anyway, yeah, I think I've spoken enough on this topic, but I just really wanted to talk about it because it doesn't feel right. It's very out of touch, couch dad energy vibes. And, yeah, I don't know. I hope that Blizzard actually learns and takes notes from this instead of being, well, we're just gonna to do what we want. And to wrap it up and bring it all home, I really think, to be realistic, what will happen with the future of Diablo 4 is that nothing is really going to change. They're going to keep doing what they've been doing this entire time because, it obviously works for them. And GGG is going to do what works for them and what works best for them. Now, people are obviously going into extremes. Oh, D4 bad. D4 is dead. D4, the PoE killer. Or D4 killer is here. PoE 2 is going to end it. And it's like, I don't think so. People hear the name Diablo. They know exactly what it is. They're going to turn on the Xbox. They're going to grab that controller. They're just going to play. Are they not going to play PoE 2? No, they probably will. They probably will check it out, but it's not Diablo. And I'm talking about like the older audience of Diablo, right? People that have played Diablo since Diablo 1 and 2 have been around. So they just hear name Diablo and they just pick it up and they want to play. And it's easy. And they don't have to go read an encyclopedia of PoE to learn how to play the game. So, but anyway, hopefully Blizzard learns. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. I guess only time will tell. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Feel free to like and subscribe. You're not obligated to, but it really helps out the channel a lot. And once again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!